Well, we knew that there was woke propaganda coming from the recent Joe Biden administration in comics. I actually did an expose from years ago where Disney was working with the Clinton Foundation, believe it or not, to try to promote Islam in America. And that's actually what spawned a lot of the Ms. Marvel stuff, the Muslim Ms. Marvel in the company. We traced things back, and the woman who actually promoted that, the creative director who hired G. Willow Wilson to do all this, actually went out and was connected to Clinton Foundation funding. She actually had a scholarship and the like that brought her into things, which might have actually gotten paid to Marvel. We were not able to make that direct connection. And we saw that there was weird things going on with Amazon sales to where it looked like that was being artificially propped up. And it was really, really weird at the time. Of course, they really wanted to promote Islam, and I don't understand why they want to promote LGBT stuff and Islam. It seems like a contradiction right there. But it was quite the interesting expose when we found that out, and that woman was funded by the Clinton Foundation, and that she had ties to Huma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's advisor as well, who's rumored to be her lesbian lover. So very interesting stuff. Where this all ties together. Now, we have even more interesting as Joe Biden reportedly spent $32,000 to fund transgender comic book propaganda in Peru. This is a lot of money for a comic book, and it's absolutely crazy, but also not unexpected, as we're finding out just how corrupt this administration was and how they're trying to influence the culture across the globe in this crazy manner. Please hit the like and subscribe button as we cover all things in comic book culture here. Really appreciate you guys for being here. I am a comic book creator myself, funded by myself and readers like you. This is my Emerald Array graphic novel. It's a lot of fun. It's Space Marines versus bug monsters. This is just pure action adventure. No propaganda here. If you love classic Marvel Comics, you're going to absolutely enjoy this. Check it out, guys. It's in the description below. Support our channel. We're almost to 450 supporters, and of course, this book is done. We are getting it ready for print right now, and should be shipping these out to you very, very shortly. Thank you all for your tremendous support in making this a huge success. Now, $32,000 funds a lot of comics, and this is very, very odd, as the Biden administration spent at least $32,000 to fund transgender propaganda comic books. Congressman Brian Mast of Florida recently brought the expense to public attention during an interview with Margaret Brennan on CBS's Face the Nation. When asked to provide evidence the State Department prioritizing DEI over diplomacy, Mast stated, "Sure, let's list them off. $500 million to expand atheism in Nepal. Oof. $50,000 to do a transgender opera in Colombia. $47,000 to do an LGBTQ trans comic book in Peru, and $20,000 to a pop to do drag shows in Ecuador." This is wild. This is what our government has been funding over the last 4 years, and it's exactly what we have to push back in the culture. As noted by USAspending.gov, which describes the official open data source as federal spending information, including information about federal awards, such contracts, grants, and loans, the United States Department of State spent $32,000 to, quote, cover expenses to produce a tailor-made comic featuring an LGBTQ plus hero to address social and mental health issues. This went to Peru. According to the page, the purpose of the grant was to support the achievement of U.S. foreign policy goals and objectives to advance national interests and enhance national security by informing and influencing foreign publics by expanding and strengthening the relationship between people and the government of the United States and citizens of the rest of the world. The grant was issued in 2022 and completed in 2023. Absolutely wild that our tax dollars were funding absolutely crazy propaganda going to Peru, of all places, to try to push the LGBTQ agenda. The government has been called globo-homo over the last decade for a reason, and that's what they're trying to export. That's what they're trying to force every single country to be. And this is very, very obvious at this point that they're not interested in diversity or making things different or respecting different cultures. They're trying to turn every culture into a generic Hollywood cesspool hell pit of Los Angeles, which is in flames right now, or was last week, because of it's the hellmouth. That's what happens, right? Of course, they're not going to talk about that at all. This is crazy that this went this far. Now, $32,000, just as a deal, I could fund art for like 3 to 4 different full graphic novels for you guys. If I get that kind of funding in grants, oh my gosh, can you imagine what we could do with these things? But no, it's going to Peru. It's going to these different countries. I mean, they're funding operas as well in Ecuador. I mean, what are they doing? Why are we doing this kind of thing? This is nuts. Interestingly enough, the United States was directly interfering in Peru's address of so-called transgender issues. Pro-LGBTQ plus Congressman Robert Garcia of California reported that Peru had designated transsexualism as gender identity disorders and cross-dressing as mental health conditions, rightfully so. A press release from Garcia's office said, Robert Garcia said that he would be working directly with the State Department to push back on this direct attack on LGBTQ Peruvians because that measure moves Peru backwards. So you see, they want to change the culture. They want to remove Christianity from these cultures. They want to turn everything into a creepy thing, and they are trying to force these other cultures to comply to leftist United States politics. It's absolutely sick. This is what they're exporting. This is evil. He said, as a gay Peruvian American and the first Peruvian American to serve in Congress, it's clear to me the decision by Bolivar administration and his right-wing Congress to attack and label trans and intersex Peruvians as mentally ill is discriminatory, dangerous, and shameful. So what came from this, clearly, is what they wanted is to push this back and actually fund propaganda to force them to change because the culture would then influence the politics. And that's exactly what they do. This is what they throw into all the Marvel movies. When you see the Doctor Strange movie and you see America Chavez with their little pride flag pin walking around there, and you see that the rock monsters have 2 mommies in this thing, it's absolutely sick. And they put it in the background of everything all the time to try to warp young minds so that young minds get influenced into this stuff. They're not just doing it here, they're doing it in other countries across the world in order to do this. This is exactly why we've been pushing back in comic books so hard, because all of this propaganda has been out there. It also does make one wonder how involved the federal government's been in influencing the pro-LGBTQ plus messaging at Marvel Comics and DC Comics over the last few decades. There's been an absurd amount of this stuff going on all the way. In honor of Trans Day of Visibility, you see from the Star Wars account right here, with an exclusive cover highlighting trans non-binary Jedi. What's going on right here? Now, it doesn't seem natural, and obviously this stuff doesn't sell to comic book readers, so what's going on? I would imagine that they probably are getting government funds from this to push this stuff out there. Like I said, with the Ms. Marvel situation, there was a concerted effort to promote Islam within the government and to promote it within culture that was funded by the Clinton Foundation, which then, of course, gets funding from the federal government and the like. And because of all of that, you saw that this was making changes at Marvel Comics, and that woman who was in charge of as the creative director of Marvel Comics at the time was the one that was pushing that kind of agenda out everywhere. It would make sense that all this stuff is out there, and I'm very interested to see what the Department of Government Efficiency starts to uncover as more and more of this gets exposed to the public. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Absolutely disgusting from the Biden administration. Crazy that they're trying to just push their culture on other cultures out there. That is colonialism, my friends. That's racist, is what I understand it to be. My gosh, I condemn them. And please check out something different. This is non-propaganda. This is the type of stuff that's so good that Marvel and DC Comics don't want you to find it. You're gonna love it, guys. It's a Space Marine graphic novel, 66 pages for you. Lots of fun like they used to make before they did all this stuff. It's in the description below. Grab it today and support independent comics. We'll be back soon.